Remember Letty's iconic purple Nissan 240SX from The Fast and the Furious? The one that screamed down the streets with Dom by her side. Now, have you ever wondered what truly happened to Letty's 240SX after the first movie? The official story claims it was crushed in a junkyard. But what if I told you there's a darker truth beneath the surface? In this video, we will explore the story of Letty's car from its rise to fame to its shocking downfall and the emotional impact it had on car enthusiasts worldwide. So, stick around until the end of the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel first. Can you believe it's been 23 years since The Fast and the Furious hit theaters? Take a moment to let that sink in. And while you're at it, let's raise a glass for Letty's iconic purple Nissan 240SX. Sure, there were multiple versions used during filming, but there's one that holds a special place in our hearts. The one driven by Michelle Rodriguez in the very first film. Craig Liberman, the man who helped bring those cars to life as a technical advisor in the early Fast franchise, recently shared some sad news about Letty's Nissan in a YouTube video. If anyone knows the ins and outs of the Fast Stars cars, it's him. Now, to understand this better, let's get into the story Liberman shared in his video. Craig Liberman, a car enthusiast with a long history of working on vehicles, recounts the story of how 3 of his personal cars became featured in the famous Fast and Furious film series. With a collection of more than 40 cars, Liberman never imagined that his Supra, GTR, and Maxima would rise to fame in Hollywood. During the early years of the Fast franchise, Liberman served as a technical advisor for Universal Studios. He played a vital role in choosing, obtaining parts, and supervising the car's construction showcased in the films. He played an important part in both the production and post-production process, providing insights on various aspects ranging from car selection to final details. One famous car from the series is the Nissan 240SX, driven by Letty, played by Michelle Rodriguez. Liberman talks about how the 240SX was chosen for Letty's character, pointing out how hard it is to find the right car before social media. Ultimately, they found James Yin's silver 240SX through online car groups and a large network of contacts. Letty's famous car was James's 240SX, which had a powerful SR20 DET engine that made 400 horsepower. The car was changed even more by adding a Zeal body kit to make it look more threatening. The movie also brought 2 stunt cars to ensure Letty's famous car would do well in action scenes. But Letty's 240SX stood out the most because of its one-of-a-kind color. The art department had wanted the car to be purple at first, but the director of photography chose a magenta color to match the film filters used. Many people have had guesses for years about the car's color, but Liberman has finally said that it was purple. At some point in the movie, the 240SX got some screen time, but the scene with Race Wars really stood out. In this exciting race, Letty's 240SX went up against a figure named Reggie Racer. It's interesting that the engines of both cars were turned off during the shooting of the scene so that dialogue could be recorded without engine noise getting in the way. Liberman thinks about what might have happened had Letty's 240SX and Reggie Racer's RX-7 raced against each other in real life. From Liberman's point of view, the 240SX would have won because its SR20 engine makes about 400 horsepower. He says things might have turned out differently if the stunt cars with their 200 horsepower had been there. It's possible that people who paid close attention during the race scene heard that the 240SX engine sounded like a 2JZ engine. Liberman says that the sound design editors made this choice on purpose. They used the soundtrack of one of the Supras that was taken after production was done. For those curious about the intricacies of the Fast and Furious cars, Craig Liberman spills the beans on the fate of the stunt cars used in the first film. Settling any lingering questions, Liberman confirms that the vehicle used for the race horse scene, known as Stunt 1, was indeed equipped with a fake nitrous system. It's a reminder that accuracy sometimes takes a backseat to cinematic flair in cinema. After the filming, the stunt cars identified as number 25 and number 26 on the key list were transported to a storage facility in Santa Clarita. However, their journey didn't end there. When pre-production for Too Fast, Too Furious kicked off, Universal saw value in reusing these iconic cars. Both vehicles were shipped to the Picture Car warehouse in Miami, where Liberman supervised their refurbishment. Stunt 1, also known as keyless number 25, was transformed and repainted into a vibrant orange rust color. It was repurposed as a driving school car for some cast members, including Devin Aoki, who learned how to navigate a stick shift in this very vehicle. Eventually, after Too Fast, Too Furious wrapped up, Stunt 1 found its way into the hands of a car enthusiast in South Carolina. It remained in his possession for several years before being acquired by Gabriel Trimble, owner of Furious Garage, who plans to give it a makeover. Meanwhile, Stunt 2, or keyless number 26, received a fresh coat of blue paint and was utilized in the warehouse scramble scene. Like its counterpart, it eventually ended up with the same enthusiast in South Carolina before embarking on a journey across various owners and locations. Eventually, it too found its way to Florida, where it now resides at Furious Garage, undergoing a meticulous restoration process. How did the Hero 1 car end up though? The vehicle was returned to its owner James Yin after its time in the news. He didn't waste any time returning it to its original silver color. Once the car was back in its famous color, it got much attention from both car fans and the media. Magazines like Super Street and Import Tuner wrote interesting articles about it. The excitement about the car grew, making it an even more sought-after piece of movie history. James finally gave the car to someone else, and Helen Jasmine Cho took it in. Interestingly, Helen started dating one of Craig Liberman's friends by chance. Liberman's friend chose to look into her claims that she owned the Letty 240SX because he didn't believe her. When he looked more closely, he saw clear signs that the car had been in Hollywood movies. For example, he found purple paint leftovers under the carpet. As important as movie cars are now, they weren't quite that important back then. Even so, the Hero 1 car kept showing up at car shows, where it got a lot of attention and changed hands several times over the years. Even though it started out as a prop in a big movie, the Letty 240SX became an important part of car history and touched the hearts of fans and owners alike. In 2009, there was a change in the American JDM scene, and many fans stopped caring about the Fast series. The movies were moving away from their roots and becoming more like other action movies, which made them less relevant to car enthusiasts. So, well-known tuner cars like the Letty 240SX lost some of their attraction. When it was sold in 2009, the Letty 240SX was taken apart to its very core by its new owner. The gearbox, SR20 engine, suspension, and all performance parts were taken out, leaving only the shell. After having its engine taken out, the car was sold to a dump where it would be turned into a beer can. At the time, not many people paid much attention to the car's movie history. The best times of the Fast and Furious series were over, and a new era with over-the-top action scenes like in Mission Impossible movies had begun. People didn't care about it. It was just another thing from the past that was thrown away without a second thought. Not only the Letty 240SX, but also many other cars from the early Fast movies met this end. As the series moved farther away from its roots in tuner cars and lost touch with its core audience, the vehicles that used to steal the show were relegated to the background of automotive history. The change in the movies, with fewer tuner cars and more assault vehicles taking center stage, reflected the drop in interest. There is still hope for these old movies, even though many people don't see them as important anymore. Craig Liberman says that people who are lucky enough to get cars from the Fast series might want to keep them. Some people may become nostalgic about these old cars over time, turning them into valuable items that can fetch high prices on the collector's market. It's a sad reminder of how fame fades quickly and how interesting film history has been for a long time. How did you find the story of 240SX's death? Do let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video!